Welcome to VGC for Dummies, the series where I teach you, yes you, to learn how to play competitive Pokemon. Today we're going to be starting with the very fundamentals of VGC, explaining what is VGC, some basic game strategy, how to easily find teams to play with, and some resources I recommend using to learn and improve at the game. For context, I've peaked top 500 on the Pokemon Showdown ladder in 2 different formats, and I almost day 2'd my first ever regional, starting 4-0 in that tournament. But let's start at the beginning. What is VGC? VGC stands for Video Game Championship and is the official way of playing competitive Pokemon. Each trainer has 6 Pokemon and we bring 4 to a specific game. We also use the double battle format, meaning 2 of your Pokemon are on the field at one time and the other 2 you selected are in the back. Each Pokemon has either 1 or 2 types. For example, Charizard is a fire and flying type. Pikachu is just an electric type. Each of these types interact with each other in very specific ways. You've all probably heard that fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire, but Pokemon has many more type matchups for all of the 18 types. Super effective moves will do double damage, and not very effective moves will do half damage. There are exceptions to this, like if a move is double super effective, it will do 4 times the damage. Immunities are also a thing. Fighting moves can't do anything to ghosts. You can't punch a ghost, and these kinds of moves will do 0 damage to your opponent. My advice here is to consider both of the Pokemon's types when going for moves, and if you're playing on cartridge, it will tell you how effective a move is, so don't stress too much and you'll learn it over time. All of what I've just said assumes that you even have a team, and to have a team, you're gonna need to figure out which Pokemon you want to use. If you're a newer player, I highly recommend using pre-built teams at the start to get a grasp of which Pokemon you like, which strategies you like, and what works for you. On top of this, catching and training your own Pokemon can be quite tedious, and optimizing Pokemon is extremely difficult. The place I recommend looking for teams is VGC Pastes. This is a Google Doc where you can see hundreds of teams from every single regulation, with all different kinds of strategies. Just make sure the team has EVs and a working rental code since it's easier to copy. I will go in more depth in another video explaining how to train Pokemon, how to get all the Pokemon you want, but I want this video to just be the absolute basics. Each Pokemon has 6 stats: HP, Attack, Defense, Special Attack, Special Defense, and Speed. HP is the total number of hit points your Pokemon has. When it drops to 0, a Pokemon faints and cannot be used anymore. Attack is how much damage your physical attacks will do to your opponent. Special Attack is the same but with special hits. Defense is how well you take physical hits, and Special Defense is how well you take special hits. Speed determines which Pokemon goes first. The Pokemon with the highest speed stat will always go first. Let me give you an example. We have Rillaboom and Fluttermane, they have Urshifu and Incineroar. Our Fluttermane goes first since it has the highest speed stat, then Urshifu will move, then Rillaboom, and then Incineroar. There are ways to change the speed order, but I'll go into that in another video. It's also really important to understand what regulations are. It is the rule set we must follow when building our teams. For example, in the previous regulation, Regulation H, we were not allowed to use any legendary Pokemon or Paradox Pokemon, whereas in the current format, Regulation F, we're allowed to use these kinds of Pokemon. In the pool of available Pokemon, there will always be some that are good, and some that are not so good. You can always check a Pokemon's usage stats on a site called Pikalytics. Here we can see how often a Pokemon is picked, some of the common moves it will run, some teammates it can be used with, common held items, and abilities. It's a really good place to look, especially if you're feeling really lost in the team building process and you don't know what you're doing. An archetype is a specific combination of Pokemon that synergize really well together and perform a specific strategy. For example, you could be using a rain team. You'll have the Rain Setter, and you'll have Pokemon that are made stronger in the rain. Archetypes are pretty fluid though, and they're just a way for people to explain strategies, without having to explain for 2 minutes that, here's my Pokemon, here's what they do, da 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 da. It's just an easy way to say it. You can say, hey, I play Rain, and people will know, okay, he probably uses like Pelipper, he probably uses Basculegion, Archaludon, those kinds of things. When the regulation changes, it's always good to look at other teams that fit the same archetype that you're already used to using. If you're a Rain player, like we said earlier, in Regulation H you could have played Pelipper and Archaludon. When restricted Pokemon are back, you can play Kyogre and Tornadus. It's not essential to look at it this way. This is just how I see it, and I think it makes adjusting to a new format a lot easier. there's usually a few specific Pokemon that are the strongest. You might want to use your favorites, but I'm sorry, Greninja's not coming to this fight. Unless you're this guy. The strongest Pokemon, or the meta, depends on the format. In Regulation H, Archaludon was a demon, being one of the top 3 Pokemon in the format. Now, it's okay. There will be some Pokemon that are strong in every format though. I'm looking at you, Incineroar, and it's something that you will learn over time. At the start, just learn about the most timeless Pokemon, things like Incineroar, Rillaboom, Fluttermane, Raging Bolt, Urshifu, and slowly expand your knowledge over time. Since you can only select 4 Pokemon to come to battle, it's vital to know which Pokemon you want to pick and why you're picking them. The Pokemon that you're bringing vary a lot depending on what strategy you're using and how offensive of a player you are. It can also depend on what your opponent is going to be bringing. This is something that's really tough to explain and has quite a lot of nuance, so I'm just going to give you a real-time example from my own game. Okay, so this guy has a weird team, I'm gonna be honest. He has Regigigas, but he doesn't have Weezing to pair it up with. He has quite a lot of dragon types as well, so Fluttermane will be nice. It will do really well into Dragapult and the Garchomp, so I think I'm gonna lead Fluttermane. I'm also considering leading Tornadus and just having that strong, hard-hitting combo. I want Landorus for Archaludon, I think that would be quite nice. And then I think I would also like to bring Urshifu, because then I can threaten the Regigigas with a lot of damage. And I can also threaten Archaludon with a close combat. Team select also gets easier if you have your opponent's team sheet. In competitive tournaments, we are able to see our opponent's Pokemon, held items, moves, Terra type, and ability. Having all of this information gives us a clearer image of our opponent's strategy, but it also gives them a clearer idea of what we want to do. So you're gonna have to make a choice. Either stick to your own strategy, or adjust your Pokemon to counter their strategy. Being able to read the board state and how the battle is going is essential for winning in Pokemon. Let's say you lead Rillaboom and Fluttermane against your opponent's Urshifu Water and Raging Bolt. Your Rillaboom is threatening their Urshifu Water with a super effective Grassy Glide or Wood Hammer. So you want to think about how your opponent may react to that. Will they switch? Will they stay in? Will they protect? What will they do? Your Fluttermane is also threatened by their Urshifu, since they can threaten to knock out your Fluttermane with Surging Strikes. But your Fluttermane is also threatening their Raging Bolt and Urshifu with Fairy moves. Having all this info can feel super overwhelming, but it's important to figure out what is going on, who is threatened, and how can you minimize the threat onto your team. Maybe you'll switch Fluttermane for Ogerpon Water in the back? Maybe you'll guess that Urshifu will protect and use both attacks into Raging Bolt. Do you think they'll switch Urshifu into a Ghost type? You can use Shadow Ball to take them down. There's no way that you're going to get every single prediction and read perfect, but as you play more games with your team, you will gain more experience, more comfortability, and be able to manage the board better. The best place to find resources is obviously going to be on YouTube. There are countless top players that are either showing you their games or teaching you how to play. I won't be able to name everyone here, but I will name a few creators and I will link them below. The Delibird makes very informative content that is also tutorial based, sometimes doing meta breakdowns and analysis of important series. Justin Tang is one of the top players right now, and definitely someone I'd watch if you want to see high level gameplay. Michael Kelsch is another person I'd recommend if you want to see some high level gameplay. Joseph Ugarte is one of the best channels for meta breakdowns, and he's also a great player. Of course you have Wolf Glick, pretty much everyone watching this knows him, but if not, he's the biggest VGC creator and one of the best players of all time. His content's very accessible for newer players. It's the kind of content you'd show to someone who's never played VGC before, but is very interested in playing. And don't forget the official Pokemon channel. This is where you can watch tournaments live and learn from high level, high stakes gameplay. And of course, me. It's my channel, I've got to promote myself somewhere. There will be more guides like this, and if you're watching this in the future, they're probably already out. I also go through Pokemon history, recapping recent tournaments, and sometimes looking back into the past to see how strong Pokemon were. If any of this interests you, click the subscribe button and it just shows YouTube that you're interested in this kind of content. I've already given out some resources during this video, but I'm just going to remind you of what I said earlier. Peakalytics is great to find how common a Pokemon is, YouTube is good for finding creators to learn VGC from, VGC Paste is a great place to find pre-made teams that you can instantly play with, and the final resource I want to give you today is Pokemon Showdown. This is an online battle simulator and is great for testing out different teams and playing against other players trying to improve. It's the main way that people practice, since the games are a lot faster, and it's easier to tweak the Pokemon stats after the game. There are many ways to compete in Pokemon tournaments. I probably should have added this to the resources section, but Limitless TCG. This place is great for playing in online tournaments and getting practice in. There are tournaments here almost every day, and a lot of good players play in these. They're better than playing Ranked Showdown for practice, since people are trying to win as much as you are. If you have them, local events are also amazing. You will need a Play Pokemon account to earn championship points from these, but they're great for getting some practice and for socializing. You can also, of course, compete in regional and international level events, where people come from all over the world to compete for a spot at the World Championships and some prize money. For these, you're going to be signing up using a site called Archetypes. This is also where you'll check who you're playing against on the day. If you have any interest in competing in these tournaments, make sure to sign up fast because they sell out extremely quickly. I really hope that you come away from this video wanting to give competitive Pokemon a good try. It's something that's honestly changed my life. It's given me more of a social life, it's made me more competitive and more of a driven person, and it's encouraged me to make content. If I've even just been able to capture a tiny bit about why this game is so special to me, then I've succeeded with this video. If you have any questions or anything that you're unsure about, comment them below and either me or someone else in the community will help you out. This game does have a really steep learning curve. You'll probably lose 80 of your first 100 games, but as you continue to learn and grow as a player, you'll truly understand what's special in this game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.